A very good afternoon to you and welcome to Just Africa. I know you will be mooting the question. I thought Just Africa was supposed to come earlier during the day. Yes, we've informed you earlier that there are going to be some little bit change concerning our program. So Souk Business Landscape comes up earlier during the day and Just Africa comes up in the afternoon. Many thanks once again for joining us. I am Oyinpriye Krumale. Across Africa, conversations about governance often revolve around the central government and the national leaders. But there is a growing recognition that true development begins at the grassroots. Today, on Just Africa, we explore local power and impact, the business case for grassroots governance. We ask, how can empowering local governments and communities unlock economic growth, attract investment, and improve service delivery? What role can grassroots governance play in creating an enabling environment for small businesses to thrive, improving infrastructure, and driving inclusive development? These are some of the pertinent questions begging for answers. Once again, I am Oyinpriye Krumale. And as usual, I'm not doing this alone. I'm doing this with my colleague, Olumide Shokoya.
Good afternoon, Oyinpriye.
Good afternoon to you.
Welcome to Just Africa. I'm Olumide Shokoya.
Yes. There's the tendency or the possibility for us not to disconnect between local government or power, political power at the local level, with grassroots activities that connect to business, economy, or development. Because if we tend to separate both, it will be a misnomer. Because I know people may ask, why are they entertaining this conversation for now? Is it because recently we just finished the local government elections across Lagos State, and even prior to the elections there were communications about commercial activities, what the face uplift that it is going to experience at the grassroots level. And this is not connected to any political affiliation. It is connected to the fact that these are going to be the drivers of development at the grassroots. Yes. And most of the economies in commerce in the local markets are going to be experiencing new leadership structure that may tailor it towards its current needs. Or what's your perspective in all of this?
Well, I think that local government is actually the grassroots level for development and, of course, economic growth. If you look at it in this way, for instance now, I said this once, but I'll say it again. Okay. I went for some sort of, how will I put it, charity or CRS of a particular LCDA chairman, and he donated certain items to a particular clinic. I asked him that these things you donated, quite good of you to donate these things, but do you think it would be able to meet the needs? Because looking at the community where you're supplying, these things are minimal, they are not, and will it be sustainable, which means will you be able to continue this particular generosity or what you might call it, benevolence? And he said that he wished he could do more. But with the local government autonomy bill and every other thing, that his successor would be able to do more from where he stopped. So now imagine if local governments are collecting tax, levies, fees, things like local market that state governments are busy doing will be left in the hands of local governments. True. Instead of saying, this issue of transporting the butchers and all that to a particular place and all that, you could be left in the hands of local government. Yes. So that it would we will be able to actually. Then again, when you talk about, if you want actual data for any other thing, I think you will get it through local government. Okay. It's easier to get it through your local government. Because when you talk about state of origin, when you talk about certain things back in the days, it's your local government. That's where you go and register all these things, and they have this collection of data. So I think we should also encourage that.
Okay, we're going to look at the capacity of the local authorities to be able to handle that, and with regards to the financial autonomy that the current administration, or the law rather, that has been voted into place and upheld by the Supreme Court, how these are going to bring in more money and more management, expanding the economy at the local level. So what is local power, you may ask? Local power refers to authority and decision-making that is decentralized to community levels, municipal councils, local government, traditional institutions, and even community-based organizations. Grassroots governance is governance that happens closest to the people, dealing directly with their everyday needs. The business case for grassroots governance highlights how empowering local system isn't just a political or social agenda. It can drive business, economy, and development at the local government level. We'll go on a break. By the time we get back from this break, we'll have a guest join us on the program to help us unpack some of the necessities and things that we need to form the idea and the policy framework at the grassroots of society, most especially with regards to business, economy, and development. And right here on Souk News, this is our forte. Stay with us.
Lateef Jakande. Born Lateef Kayode Jakande in the Ekpetedo area of Lagos Island, Lagos State on July 1929. He studied at the Lagos Public School at Enowa, Lagos Island, then at Bonham Memorial Methodist School, Port Harcourt, King's College, enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. Jakande began a career in journalism in 1949 with a daily service and joined the Nigerian Tribune in 1953. The owner, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed Jakande editor-in-chief of the Tribune in 1956. Jakande established John West Publications in 1975 after leaving Tribune and began to publish the Lagos News. He served as the first president of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN. Jakande ran for election as executive governor of Lagos State in 1979 on the Unity Party of Nigeria platform. His administration was effective and open and implemented the cardinal policies of his party. He introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor, building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He gave poor people's children education, and many of them are now very prominent in the society today. Jakande established the Lagos State University and constructed over 30,000 housing units. After the military takeover in 1983, Jakande was charged, prosecuted, and convicted of treason and later pardoned. He served as Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He died in Lagos on February 11, 2021. Lateef Jakande was the first civilian governor of Lagos State. Lateef Kayode Jakande, Souk Enlightenment.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. It's Just Africa, and we are reaching you live from our studios at Souk News Television. Now, to help us unpack these questions, we are joined by Oni Olaleko. He's a respected public affairs analyst to share insight on how strengthening governance at the local level could reshape Africa's development story. Oni Olaleko, welcome to Just Africa. Many thanks for joining us. Unmute so we can hear you. Please kindly unmute yourself. Welcome once again to the program.
Thank you. Good afternoon for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Great. It's good to have you join us on Soup News Television on a conversation Just Africa. We've seen that the informal economy in Africa, in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Tanzania, and in whatever part of Africa is very, very critical to development, to business, and the economic expansion of these countries. But one other thing that we have seen that is critical to this conversation is government at the local level. So of what relevance do you think local government or government at the local level or municipal government is needed or relevant to development at the grassroots level?
You see, when you talk about informal businesses across Africa and Nigeria as a case study, the grassroots governance has a whole lot to do. You will discover that majority of these local businesses, at the grassroots, has to be at the grassroots. And you find out that majority of all these informal businesses are people who are grouped under the small scale businesses, people who are traders, maybe market women, people who are artisans, and so on and so forth. So development at the grassroots governance has a whole lot to do has a whole lot of impact on these people. If you look at the section of people I've mentioned earlier, which are artisans, which are small scale owners, which are also which are some of them are traders, some are market women, and so on and so forth. They have a direct um, a direct connection with grassroots governance in Nigeria. And then if you also look at it, and that's where we say that the grassroots governance, which is the local government, is the closest tier of government to the people. If you have all of this, and the local government, which is the closest tier of the government to the people, has a whole lot of things to do to ensure that these local businesses or informal business thrives in their respective communities, in their markets, in wherever they do. Although the central government also has a lot to do, because if you look at the artisans who carries out their day-to-day business in these communities, in these local communities, in these local governments, we find out that the infrastructure that is being provided, especially in a country like Nigeria, where power is an exclusive, is on the exclusive list of the federal government, there's a way power, stable electricity has a positive impact on the businesses of these artisans. So, it is interwoven. The local government, which is the closest tier of government to the people, has a lot to do to the informal sector of the economy, and also the federal government, as in the case of Nigeria, has a whole lot, of infrastructure to provide so that these businesses can thrive.
Thank you very much, Oni. So, if I may ask, how does local government policies in Lagos, for instance, how does it influence SMEs in terms of taxation, permits, and infrastructure?
Also, the local government business has some impact on these small business owners in their community. For instance, there are roads, infrastructural roads that are under the local government. And when you have these good roads in these communities, within these communities, it enhances the businesses of traders or artisans within the community. Also, like I've mentioned earlier, I said that these informal businesses, we also have under them markets, market women, traders which are within the community. And if you look at it very well, major markets are under the purview of the local government. And so if the local government sees to the fact that these markets are upgraded, it will also enhance the businesses of these market women. If even local government has a role to play, in making, in providing a conducive environment for businesses. We have seen a situation whereby, shop owners complains of multiple taxation. And multiple taxation means that the state government comes to tax them, to collect taxes from them. The local government also come to collect taxes from them, which, the local government calls tenement rates within their community, within their locality. So all of these tenements are being received by the local government ought to be used to develop the community by providing conducive, market areas, by providing roads which I have mentioned earlier, and other things which are or other infrastructural and many other things which are under the purview of the local government. So I see that the local government has a role to ensure that businesses thrive, small businesses thrive within their locality.
All right, thank you very much, Oni. From basically what you've said, there is a lot of expectations from the local government. So if I may now ask, to what extent are the local governments equipped technically, financially, to deliver services to residents and businesses?
I mentioned earlier, and I mentioned that there are critical infrastructure that even the local government can provide. And when they provide this, it helps businesses within the locality. First of all, is that the local government, and I also don't want us to look at Lagos alone, because the scope of what we are talking about goes beyond Lagos State. If you look at when you talk about local government administration,
network.
We're having a network glitch.
Yes.
I think probably we need to. Okay, I heard Mr. Oni is back. Yes. Are you there, Oni Olalekan? Please.
Yes. For example, in Nigeria, for example, we have 774 local governments. So whatever discussion we are having about local governance and in their impact on businesses also affects every other local government. So let me give an instance in other parts of Nigeria whereby farming takes place. So one of the areas the local government can also impact, local businesses are farming, people who engages in agriculture, who does farm produce and all of that, by providing road. And also in the case of what we have in Nigeria now, whereby we have insecurity in our farmlands across the country, in some parts of the country. And so local government can also provide local vigilantes to ensure that the farms are safe. And also, like I mentioned earlier, critical infrastructure like roads, and ensure that the roads whereby farmers can move, farm produce from the farm to the main, center where they can sell their goods. So in all of these ways, I believe that local government has a critical role to play in small businesses, in local businesses, and all of that to ensure that all of these businesses thrives, and local business owners can also make some good money.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oni Olalekan. Now, whilst you were, first of all, I want us to know that the scope of our conversation goes beyond Lagos and Nigeria. We are talking about local government administration and their relevance to community development with regards to business, economy, and development. It goes even on to other African countries. We make references to Kenya, to South Africa, some other clients. They are not referred to as local government. They are referred to as municipal or counties, as the case may be. So when you were talking about artisans, market sellers, those who drive economic activities at the ebb of local government, and that they are critical sector involved in the governance structure at the local society, that could also inform the idea that we could see someone who sell maybe pepper, tomato, in the local market contesting for political position as the councillor, as a councillor or as a local government chairman. That means, or it informs the decision that they have a requisite understanding of the basic needs that it is required at the head of society to drive economic development. But there is also a challenge where we've seen cases where the people who dwell in highbrow areas go to contest local government elections where they actually came from, who do not have requisite knowledge of the way economic activities are run at the head of society, and this hinder the development of the economy at the local head of society. How can we tackle some of these challenges? Whether it's taking place in Lagos, in Kenya, in South Africa, in Tanzania, or any part of the African continent?
Well, you see, it's a big challenge when you have people who direct the day-to-day affairs of local government who are not part and parcel of that locality. It's a very big challenge, because if you are not a member of that immediate community, and you find your way in directing, in heading that local government, there'll be a massive challenge. The reason is because you are not conversant with the problem of that immediate locality. So it is very important, and it is expedient that in local government administration and local administration, it is very important that we have people who have been in that community, people who have been part and parcel of that community. In fact, in most cases, it should be people who were born into that community, maybe for educational reasons or for other reasons, just went out, to other parts of the world and then came back. But what I am saying in essence is that for us to have a thriving local administration across Africa, it is very important that we have people who were, in fact, if possible, who were born and bred in that same local community. It will be very, very easy to steer the ship of that local community or local government if we have people who are from that, vicinity or in that locality, steering the ship, because they will know how, to administer, let me use that word, the resources that belongs to that local government. They will know how to administer it to at the appropriate quarters in that local government. So this challenge, I feel that to a very large extent, it's a political challenge, which I think that it needs to be tackled headlong and ensure that we have people in the helms of affairs who are from that locality. And that's where you can have rapid development. That's where you can have tailored solutions to the specific problems of the locality and that, and that area, so to speak.
Thank you very much, Oni Olaleko. Now, let's go on a break. By the time we return from the break, we shall be taking another look at the relevance of local government to the business, economy, and development at the grassroots society. It's still Just Africa, and we'll reach you live from our studios. We're back in a moment. Just stay with us.
Welcome to Femi Walsh Limited, owners of Soup TV Lagos, Our Radio Lagos, Kaswa Radio Kano, and of course, Emirates TV Abuja and Dubai. Our niche market for media is business, economy, and development. At Femi Walsh, we promote your company's products and services using our world-class facilities. From Our Radio to Souk TV, what you get is nothing but the best of the very best.
And if you're looking for the premium production firm for your events and corporate coverage, think no further, because we offer you the best of industry stuff.
With high-definition cameras ranging from 4K to 8K multicam setups, high bi-directional microphones, and real-time streaming encoders, we give you a production like none other. And if you're looking to produce podcasts, adverts, and documentaries, our team of experts will ensure that you convey your message clearly and professionally. Femi Welsh, Global Vision, Local Impact.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing, and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, monitoring, and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. Ready to make an impact? For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 439 2362. Visit us today at www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Idumota Market. Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade and later, under the British indirect rule, it surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an Armed Forces Remembrance Cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo Masquerade statue and a clock tower are also some monuments at Idumota. Idumota Market is so popular that large sales are recorded as early as 7 a.m. The market is made up of hundreds of locked-up shops occupying several multi-story buildings, with some measuring about 5 or more floors. In 2010, the Lagos State government demolished some illegal structures in order to improve vehicular and human movement in and around the markets. During weekdays, the neighborhood of Idumota is densely populated by shoppers, traders, and bus passengers. From the Carter Bridge ascending into Lagos Island, passengers can see the neighborhood before disembarking at their final destination. Idumota Market accommodates the substantial inflow of imported goods. The bulk of import from abroad are routed first through Idumota and then on to other markets through Nigeria and other West and Central African countries. The energy of private Idumota traders and wholesalers facilitate this activity, where millions of US dollars worth of wholesale is exchanged daily. Idumota Market, Souk Enlightenment.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. It's Just Africa, and we are reaching you live from our studios at Soup News Television. We were talking about local government, power at the ebb of society, and how this power is wielded to direct the activities, the economic, business, and development activities at the ebb of society to get back what it needs to make people at the society, the idea of society, rather, to feel the presence of governance. Olumide, our guest spoke about something very, very important that I want to refer to, but I think he's back and he has joined us. Welcome once again to the program, Mr. Oni Olalekan.
Thank you for having me again. I'm here.
Now, let's take our conversation to the next level. Recently, before I go to what happened recently, in places like Kenya and in other African countries, or before now, including Nigeria, local government at the ebb of society lacks autonomy. And this has been one of the critical factors that has, shrouded their activities in secrecy and prevented them from carrying out the functions that the constitution of these countries have given unto them to operate at the ebb of society, for them to really have a positive impact on the lives of the people in terms of business, economy, and development. But recently, in the case of Nigeria, Kenya has done positively in that sense, where they've got that autonomy. Nigeria, we just got that autonomy, though I would say 1 year ago, but we've not started seeing the fruits bearing yields for us at the ebb of society. How can we overcome this? And do you think autonomy at that level will bring the desired economic development? Okay, so he's going to join us again. I think we're having some challenge with the network. So that's the question I want to put across to him, where we can see, any other thing that has been gagging the expression or the functionality and the operations of local government at the ebb of society, will completely be removed by way of the local government autonomy that we currently have, and how they can, meet the way the National Assembly, or the way the National Assembly meets to rectify the budget of the chief executive, and what actually transpired at the state level, the same replicated at the local government level, where they are responsible for drawing up their budget, having in their minds what happened at the ebb of society, how to drive commercial activities, how to give operating capability to local manufacturing entities for them to provide jobs for the people at the ebb of society, so that we do not completely to depend on the government at the center most of the time, like we normally do, so that we can achieve effectiveness at the ebb of society. Those are the questions I wanted to put across to you.
Talk about driving local markets. I'm also thinking of a situation whereby local governments can increase their internally generated revenue without burdening small businesses. What am I talking about? Buildings, recreational centers open to the public. Thereby, you're generating your own revenue internally without just waiting for, the national cake from the federal government. There are other things that the local government can actually do to generate their own revenues, so that they do not solely also depend. They can also be independent by themselves.
Yes.
That's one of the things I'm also looking at, so that they do not end up, overburdening the SMEs with taxations, permits, and all that, so that every other person is also inclusive of this.
Okay. One other perspective to look at it is that at the ebb of society, local government is well known to the people around that vicinity. Definitely. And they are quite conversant with the market, with the demands of the people at the market level. So what do? They tend to meet their demands in their own capacity, without, completely taking it away from the local market or the local competitors that operate at the ebb of society. There are instances, if it's in Ajerome, Ifelodun local government in Ajegunle, which is now Ajerome being the local government area, Ifelodun being the local council development area. What they did was that they have a very good facility. And what they do with that facility is they lease it out for events and those purposes. And every weekend or weekday, you see people around that area, those who reside in that Jeremy fellow the local government, because it's quite a big local government too, come to rent those facilities, to have parties, to have symposiums, to have events, and they pay directly to the local government account. So, and these payments, for a week, you might have like 3-4 times, sometimes for the whole of that week, those specific local governments that event centers have been booked. And these are verifiable sources of generating revenue to the local government. You know, there are other parts where the local government officials go from park to park collecting money from commercial vehicles, even though we have the normal people whom we refer to as park officials. And there's been this argument if they are actually officials that are representing the local government entities, or they actually give money back to the local government when they collect those money from the shops that are in the markets that are set up in those places. It's still a debate, and a contending debate for that matter. But it is seen that, oh yes, they do, and they repatriate back to the appropriate quarters. But it also begs the question, can this process of getting back money from the stores be digitized so that it does not fall into the hands of unscrupulous elements who might want to shortchange the local governments from getting back the actual monies that these stores or these shops pay to those officials? And that is another part of the conversation so the local government should be looking at the central government and be looking at the state government, how they've effectively deployed the Federal Inland Revenue Service, now the National Revenue Service, and the Lagos State Inland Revenue Service, which is at the state level, not just in Lagos State, but the other states as well, so they can create that for local government and digitize the process so that they can have exactly what they go out to collect.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, if you're talking about digitizing the collection of some of these levies, fees, and all that, let's not forget that these guys that work at the parks, garages, and all that, it's some sort of job creation for them.
Okay.
That's their own source of livelihood.
Okay, maybe the local government outsourced that, but are they known entities that are regulated by statute?
Yes. So where I'm going is, if you decide to digitize this, you will probably remove all those other people. Which means, for instance, if I want to park or I want to do something, I just have to use my ATM card to make certain payments, and it goes directly into the local government account. So it has removed all the middlemen
from collecting.
I don't know what to call them, the park collectors and all. You have actually taken food literally out of their mouth. So while we're trying to digitize this, we also have to take into cognizance that this is also a way of creating employment for these people
at the ebb of society. But what about when conversations about the process of tax collection at the local government level, and if the monies that were collected actually reflect on the facility, the infrastructure, or the assets that the local governments have on ground? If you go across local governments, especially this time when the new leadership are coming into the local government space, there have been infrastructure, there have been shops and stores that must have been built within the space of 3 years or 4 years, as the case may be, by the previous administrations of local government, which had effectively served as a channel for getting funds to run the affairs and the operations of the local government at the ebb of society, irrespective of the allocation that comes from the federal and from the state government. If we don't digitize the process, it is a human nature might want to play some fast one on the entities and the authorities. And that had to come to issues about transparency. Are we seeing the local government will be able to effectively handle this? One. The second thing is the budgetary process that the local government leadership normally set for the year, for the fiscal year. Do we have an effective budgetary process where it is put into rigorous debate by the councillors that meet and that can carry out the seizures like the National Assembly to trim the rough edges and cut out what is excessive and what is not enough, and to also look at it critically and exercise oversight function the way the National Assembly or the State House of Assembly exercise oversight function to say, okay, let's remove this amount, you don't need it. We need this amount, but it's for this purpose, for this particular industry, for this sector. Do the local government councillors effectively carry out this function at the head of society? But this is one of the allegations that has been leveled against them, and they need to stand, they need to be able to defend it.
That's where town hall meeting comes in. So that you give reports of this and this is what was allocated to this. Let the people sit down, let them have a town hall meeting, whereby the councillors, all of them are there on ground to defend every little penny that was spent on any other thing, so that when the people ask that this thing, what was, how did you arrive at this amount and how was it expended, you'll be able to give account. I think that's one of the ways we can actually drive transparency, because what you're basically talking about is just transparency.
Transparency.
And that's the best way. Town hall meetings. Let's have town hall meetings. Let's have, circulars being, shared. Because these local governments, people actually know the people living in a particular community. While this last local government, there were so many reports about it and all that. People living in communities, for instance, I know who is staying in my community. I know those. So if someone comes and says he's part of this community, we all can tell that this person is not part of this community. So I feel that's where town hall meetings are very necessary, so that we all gather together and see each other. We all gather to know who and who. Because sometimes some of the local communities don't even know who their councillors are. You ask that, who's the councillor for this part?
Yes.
Are they even living in that particular community? Some local governments or councillors don't live in that particular community, and yet they are collecting salaries. How do we negate all that? So I feel town hall meetings is one of the best ways that we can actually, start. We can start from there.
Okay. So making public the operations of local government is one critical issue.
Yes.
Now that they have autonomy at their beck and call, all eyes are going to be on the functions and the operations of local government.
Yes.
And people will want to see what are your economic policies. Because sometimes I wonder, as a councillor, you're coming out to contest. Are there debates? Now, this is why we need to bring in the civil society organizations and the need for them to have their activities percolate to the ebb of society, and to begin to ask questions and to hold to account the activities, your activities as a councillor, your activities as a local government chairman, your activities working in the local government service commission, because we can have some more like the structural representation of a permanent secretary at the state and at the federal level, at the local government service commission level too, where you are saddled with the responsibility of heading those ministries to bring about development. So what are your job? What do you do? So if you're going to be having meetings, sometimes you need to tell the people around your vicinity that the local government will be having a meeting. That is not normal legislative sessions. But just to come know your councillors, come know the people who are driving development at the ebb of society. Sometimes you are passing through a road, a bridge was constructed, or there's this huge pothole in the middle of a specific local road, and you see some individuals come to cover that road with debris, and they're standing in the middle of the road to collect 100 naira, 200 naira, 500 naira from motorists. Is the local government behind that action, or is just private individuals who are driving that initiative? So if it were the local government, there would have been, it's just your responsibility to do it. Yes, and not just private individuals who might want to come in and want to use that medium to get something out of the people, because you must begin to attend to these issues that bring that could be hurting the people that are the head of society. So these are issues that we must begin to put into consideration. And one thing that the local government can do that will clear all doubt and demystify the issues is that your issues, your operations must not be made or enshrouded in secrecy. It must be in public domain. Because like you were saying, Some people don't even know their representatives at the local government level. We can't begin to talk about those at the state level, House of Representatives or the Senate. But all eyes are there. But our primary attention should be at the local government.
You know,
in rounding up.
Yes, we also know that in civil service there's some level of confidentiality that is expected of you, not to disclose certain sensitive information to the public. But also, do you know that local governments can actually conduct surveys of the communities and actually know exactly what the people want? Doctor has always mentioned the on-site survey, whereby you go to their houses, you sit down with them. If you just share circulars, if you just share flyers and all that, they might not want to give the actual information, correct information. But if you are there with them and you're asking them in their local language, you're asking them questions in Yoruba, Igbo, and that, and you're noting it down, and you collect all that and take it back to the local government. You are able, by the time you compile all that, you are able to sieve and know exactly what is needed in that particular community. And just like I will always say, census, if you want to actually have a proper census, let's start with the local government. They can actually conduct this. They have the data. Because before birth certificates and certain registrations, you will go to your local government. It's your local government you will actually go to. Before now, we have always conducted marriages at the Koye registry, but now you can actually do. So it's to show you the powers that these local governments have.
Yes. Okay. Well, it is a good place for us to round up our conversation now. But I think it is better, or it's imperative, I throw out this to you. In times past, there's this allegation against local government officials that most of them occupying political seats at the ebb of society or were illiterates and do not have in their possession the wherewithal to wield the economic powers that are the ebb of society as an institution of government at the grassroots level, that they lacked it. But it has changed. That dynamic has changed. You see engineers, people who are well-lettered, educated, occupying seats as local government chairmen, people who are well-educated, who have gone through the four walls of the classroom and got to a PhD and professor level, working as local government chairmen, as councillors, and all of that. And the expectations are quite high. What's expected of them for now is quite big. Their contribution to development at the ebb of society is something very, very significant. People expect the dynamics to change, and with the recent laws passed of local government autonomy completely now in operation, our expectations have gone beyond the roof, and we tend to see the money, the allocations coming from the federation account, and as much as those that were generated using the various instruments for the internally generated revenue accruing to the local government, councils, and LCDAs to be used judiciously for development purpose at the ebb of society. Until they meet this requirement, people are going to continue to think that the status quo still holds sway at the ebb of society. So it might be an indictment on the local government councillors and chairmen if they do not do better. My name is Oyin Priye Krumale. Many thanks for joining us on today's episode on Just Africa. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at Soap News TV. Good afternoon to you. Yes.
And I am Olumide Shokoya. Enjoy the rest of your day.